I'm not sure if you knew it, but a miracle took place yesterday evening here at St. Mark. Now you might be thinking I'm talking about Mass, when the bread and the wine become Christ's body and blood, or maybe you're thinking of the sacrament of penance, or maybe even a physical healing. But I'm referring to the miracle of me surviving the hot wings challenge last night. It's a miracle I'm here today. To put this into context, I absolutely hate spicy food. And if I get a jalapeno seed in my salsa, I don't want it. Nevertheless, through the prayer of many and the Lord's grace and the desire to compete against a fellow seminarian and the priest, I survived and was able to eat a wing with a 2.6 million Scoville unit hot sauce. I will say, leading up to this challenge, if I'm being completely honest, I expected this challenge to go poorly, and perhaps even needing to tap out early. But this was not the case. In today's readings, we hear how others had expectations. In the first reading, the foreign general Naaman had contracted leprosy. When the prophet Elisha told him simply to bathe in the Jordan River 7 times, Naaman, who expected the prophet to tell him that he would need to do something extraordinary, at first walked away angry when he heard what he needed to do. In today's gospel, we also see some expectation from the people of Nazareth about Jesus. Earlier in the chapter, which we unfortunately did not hear today, the Nazarenes were really looking forward to Jesus coming back home. They had heard of all the miracles Jesus had done and were expecting him to also work miracles for them and their Jewish brethren, and also to restore the kingdom of Israel for the Jews. However, in the gospel we hear today, Jesus shows that he is the Messiah of all people, and not just for them. He does this by reminding them that Elijah and Elisha worked miracles for foreigners and not for the Jewish people like you would have expected. This angered them, so they sought to kill him. In our own lives, we can easily fall into this mentality of expectation. God has to act in this certain way. He has to fit into this little box. Nevertheless, as we heard in these readings today, this is not the case. God works miracles. He is present and works in our lives. But the way he does this can oftentimes be surprising. I mean, just think. When God promised Adam and Eve that he would send a Savior into the world, I'm sure it was the last thing they would have thought of, that the second person of the Blessed Trinity would become man, would suffer, would die, and be buried in order to redeem them. In knowing this, we must be careful not to try and fit God into a box and expect him to conform to our plans or our expectations. This mindset, in reality, closes us off to God and so limits what he can do in our lives. And so, my brothers and sisters, as we go forth from this Mass, let us be confident that God is truly present and he is working in our lives. But at the same time, let us ask God to open our hearts and work in our lives as he, our all-wise God, knows what is best for us, rather than the way we think is best.